Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the Rebirth server with Tiger Shrike, our mutation stalker who has 30 million point five experience, 3.5-ish million experience to go to get to level 49, which is the second to last regular level you can gain in the City of Heroes. We have 33.5 million influence, and we are on a story arc for Unai Kemen. We've been looking for missing scientists from Portal Corp, and now he thinks he knows where they are. So all we have to do is extract them. I guess he's forgiven me for not returning with them because remember in one of the previous missions he said if you don't come back with them, don't come back at all. And then he kind of forgot he said that. So now we are going to try to come back with them for sure. We're going into this sort of beach area. This is one of my actually favorite outdoor mission maps just because at least when it's daylight out it's pretty easy to see things and get around. There are 6 scientists to extract. We can see one of them is right here, and this is going to be devouring Earth it looks like. Why do I keep getting stuck on the plants? So this is devouring Earth. This should be no problem. I think we may need to move it back up to +3. It's starting to really be too easy at +2. It's been too easy at +2. It's just unless you're fighting Knives of Artemis or possibly Malta, there's really nothing that anything else can do to you. Although you did see last time that the family was giving me a heck of a lot of grief. But that was mostly because I just expected them not to be any trouble at all because family, when are they ever trouble? Even when you're 20th level and taking them on level, they're not hard, right? They're one of the easiest enemies to fight because they tend not to have secondary effects. I went back and watched my that mission, and I realized afterwards, because I wasn't looking up here, they were dropping my smashing and lethal and etc. resistance. So I guess the problem with them was that they were basically turning my resistance to nothing, and everything was getting through my defenses. And as little as I have, it still helps to have it. So we should be getting close to the wall here. Yep. Alright, let's check this little island. I do know this outdoor map sort of better than the other ones, maybe because I've had it more in missions, I don't know, but so this island sometimes has guys that you have to fight on it, but rarely has hostages and glowies on it. And again, it looks like it does not. I'm just sort of trying to go through every nook and cranny on that island so that we know for sure that we don't have anybody there. And then, okay, so the wall comes here, and then it goes down this way. And now we're going to have to check out all the little rocks and see, because usually what happens is they've got their enemies. Ooh, is that a boss? Nah. They've usually got their hostages backed up against the rocks. You know, in areas like this. So, right there, see? And it's not that I knew this particular hostage was in this particular spot, I just know they tend to back them up against the rocks in this particular map. And so if you check up against the rocks, you're very likely to find some hostages. And so that's what we're going to look for. Last time I talked about how I was not sure whether I wanted to stay on my supergroup. I'm still of two minds about it. I mean, one of the problems is that even though I don't play with those guys that much, I do chat with them in Discord, and as I said, they're all just so nice. I mean, they really are nice people. The leaders are pretty cool. The officers are all really nice. The members are all really nice. And I don't have to sever ties with them, right? I mean, I can stay in their Discord as a, whatever you want to call it, like an adjunct member. What do they call it? A community member. And I'm pretty sure you can come back anytime you want. I know the one guy actually did come back, and he was like, hey, do I have to reapply or whatever? They're like, nope, just send the leader a private message and we'll bring you back in. So I could potentially go that route. I think one of my concerns is if I go that route, I probably won't ever come back. Just my experience has been in guilds before that when I've taken a step back like that, I don't know that I've ever gone back except once. And it was, in fact, in City of Heroes. But that was when I quit playing the game, and then I came back and started playing the game again. And even then, when I came back, a lot of the people in the guild were gone, and I had to meet a whole bunch of new people, and a lot of my old friends weren't there anymore, which wasn't super great. Not that me staying would prevent people who are leaving from leaving. So, yeah, I'm not sure. To be honest, one of the main deterrents right now is just the fact that the actual original leader who hired me and who recruited me into the guild and everything, she's kind of taken a step back from things, as I've said, and um, I'm really I felt very comfortable bringing things like this to her because she's very level-headed about guild management, and she's very fair about that kind of thing, and I just would have felt quite comfortable going to her, Nina, her name is, in the game, and just saying, look, Nina, here's the story. What should I do? And get really good advice from her. And the other officers are nice people, but I just don't necessarily feel quite as comfortable approaching them in that way. I'm sure they'd be perfectly nice, but I just feel like she gave really good advice about stuff like that. And I just haven't seen her on a lot, and I know she's really busy, so I don't really want to bug her with my own personal issues about membership and stuff. I feel like I should deal with that myself rather than, you know, make it a pain for her because she's busy. But I really kind of wish I had her to bounce it off of and just chat about what's going on and why I'm getting ready to depart, because I feel like I'm not really bringing anything to the table for the guild since I don't really do stuff with them. And it's like, what am I providing them as a member? It's not just about what you get from the guild. It should never be just about what you get from a guild. As a member of a guild, you should always be seeking to contribute. And here's our last guy. And the reason you should be seeking to contribute is because a guild is only as good as its membership. And so if you contribute, we've saved the scientists. If you contribute to the guild, you're going to make the guild better. And if you don't contribute to the guild, you're basically dead weight. And I feel like I'm being dead weight. And I really don't want to do that, right? I don't want to feel that way with regard to my guildmates. So, I don't know. I still have some thinking to do. Again, I really kind of wish the leader was there, because I feel like I could talk to her very easily about this stuff, and I'm really not sure exactly who else to talk to. So, I don't know. I'll keep thinking about it. In the meantime, thanks for getting those scientists back, Tiger Shrike. I only wish they were in better condition. I haven't been able to get a single straight answer out of them. They just keep saying things like, the carrot ate my socks. Something has addled their brains. So I've got a new dimension. Let's see. Here we go. Portal Corp is extremely grateful for you for rescuing the scientists. I wish we knew what was wrong with them. They're still speaking in gibberish. We send them over to Stephen Sheridan for a quick checkup. Will you go and collect the results? Yes, I will go and be your servant and collect the results. So we're going to go to OUROBOROS, since that's pretty quick. And while we're here, we'll see if there's anything to sell. Oh, we need to check the auction house, Wentworth's. We'll hit Talos on the way over and just check it. I put a couple things up for, what was it, about 500,000 yesterday. If they haven't sold, I'll pull them down and put them up for 250 or something. We don't really need the influence. I mostly just needed the inventory space, right? Let's see, what do we got left in space? We have 152, so you can take 17 more salvage. That's more than enough for this episode, at least. But let's see if we sold these guys, and if we made any money. Yeah. We sold one for 1.2 mil and one for 5 mil. So that brings us up to almost 40 million influence, guys. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright, let's hit the train station, and we'll go to BRICKSTOWN. And we will talk to Steve Sheridan. I mentioned this. I think I may have not actually been able to post it. Because it might have been post level 50 stuff with Silver Phoenix. But Steve Sheridan was actually the name of a kid I grew up with. He had red hair and freckles and taller than I was. And he's really smart. He was in the Gifted and Talented program, a lot smarter than I was. Because I certainly wasn't in the Gifted and Talented program. Super smart guy. Funny. Sarcastic. Incredible wiseacre. My mother used to really didn't like that I was friends with him because I became pretty much a snotty little obnoxious kid when I was his friend because I was sort of copying his smart alecky behavior. He just thought all grown-ups were stupid and he was smart. And sometimes he was right, most of the time he was wrong. And I found his antics really funny, and my mother found them disrespectful. So, anyway, his name was Steve Sheridan, and so this every time I talk to this guy, it reminds me of him. He says, I've examined the Portal Corporation scientists, and even I was amazed at my findings, Tiger Shrike. I believe that you actually only saved half the scientists. Not half their number, but half of each person. Let me explain. When you look for the scientists, you found only a dimensional rupture. Well, it's my belief the rupture actually fractured the scientists, splitting them in two. One half got sent to the devouring Earth's world, the other half is still lost somewhere within the multiverse. Perhaps the rest of Portal's brain trust can help you figure out where. It almost sounds like Voldemort making Horcruxes, you know. Alright, so he says each scientist is only half. Well, we got to deal with that. And he says, so Steve Sheridan thinks the Portal scientists were torn into and half is still out there somewhere in the multiverse, I guess. That explains the sketchy data we got the last time you tried to pinpoint their location. Have the techs check out the data again, and they think they found the location of the scientist's other half. Will you go rescue them? Yes, I will go rescue them. Back to Peregrine Island. This time we're going to just use the mission teleporter. Hopefully it'll work this time. Last time I tried to use it, it animated and then nothing happened. So let's see. Like it got to here? Yeah, see last time it got to there and then just stopped. But must have been a bug. Alright, so we're now going to rescue the other half of each scientist. I wonder if they're going to look the same. I don't remember. Alright, so this is City Zone. Not one of my favorites because there's a lot of places for these guys to be hiding. A lot of nooks and crannies and little crevices. But you know what? I always go this way. And last time, a couple times ago in here, I realized, and I said this before, that they actually seem to tend to put a lot more of hostages and stuff on this side of the map. So let's start over here this time instead of starting to the left. I don't see anybody this time in this area, but sometimes they have them hiding in the back here. So we're going to bias our search to this side for now. Let's see. I don't see anything. There's no hostiles at all. That's sort of weird. Okay, Jaegers. It's a colonel and a dragoon. Okay, so these guys are nemesis, which means lieutenants go second because we don't want them buffing their buddies with that death cry or whatever it is that makes them harder to hit. And he buffed them anyway because I didn't see those guys over there. And these guys like hostage takers, right? No, maybe not. And so you can see we're missing a lot because he's been buffed. That takes him out, and this guy wasn't close enough. What is that there? Oh, it's just a pile of garbage. Oh, those guys didn't see me? I'm surprised. Okay, now we're way far away from where I wanted to start. I wanted to start more around here. But it looks like this time, as if the game heard me, say, this is often where the bad guys are and I don't look. Well, this time I looked and they weren't there. Okay. So just have to wander around. We need 6 of them again. And we just gotta find them. And I am glad I am doing this late in the afternoon and the sun is on the other side of my house. Because if the ambient light were really bad in here, I would not be able to see anything, whereas I can actually see it just fine right now. And there's a hostage. Okay. So we're going to go after the Jaeger first, because the Jaegers are a little resistant to me, so we'll make sure we assassinate that. And then this guy will just be 2 or 3 blows, and he's dead. And that saves 1 guy. And there's another. Right there. So now the victims do not make any noise, but the Jaegers do. So if you're like running around and you haven't been able to find the victim on a Nemesis map, sometimes you luck out in that the Jaegers are there and you can hear their little wind-up noise. So now we got the parking garage here. Sometimes there are guys in here. But actually rarely. Sometimes there's a boss on the bottom floor or on the top floor, but I don't know that there's ever a glowy or hostage in here. But yeah, here we go. I guess I'm wrong. Okay. That is one of the first times I've ever actually... I always check the garage. That's one of the first times I've ever actually seen a victim actually here in the obvious place. They tend not to be in the center of things. They tend to be along the edges, backed up against walls, just like in the other map they tend to be backed up against rocks. I'm not sure why the designers did it that way. I don't know if they thought it would make it easier or harder to find, or if there's something about the spawning algorithm just makes it work better. I don't really know. Or if they just thought it was more in character to have them cowering against a wall. I'm not really sure. I mean, it sort of is more in character, but I don't know if that's the reason they did it, or if they did it because there was some mechanical reason behind it, or because they thought it would be easier or harder to find them, and they were either trying to make it easier or harder. I don't know that it really makes it either easier or harder. I guess a little easier, because the buildings do provide you with landmarks, right? And so if you look up against the sides of the buildings throughout the zone, you'll eventually find at least some hostages by just going up along the edges of the buildings like I'm doing here, right? And then if they're caught up against the side of a building, you'll find them. Yeah, I kind of wish they had done something a little different with hostages. You know, we know that they made glowies have sound when people were frustrated with the glowies. But the glowies are also glowing, right? So they both glow and make noise, whereas the hostages neither glow nor make noise, so they're much harder to find than glowies. And, you know, the developers recognized with the glowies that that kind of needle in a haystack business was frustrating, and they fixed it by having first putting a sound in and then actually making the sound a little more prominent. And also, when you're down to 1, they give you that little asterisk that tells you where it is, right? But they never did that for the hostages. Like, and I would love to ask them, why would you think that finding glowies that make noise and glow is hard enough that you need to put an asterisk in there, but that hostages that make no noise and don't flash aren't hard enough, and so you don't put any hints in there? It's sort of odd that they actually gave you a hint for the easier thing and no hint for the harder thing. I'm not quite sure what sane person would do that. It seems, maybe sanity isn't the right word, reasonable? I thought maybe that was bosses, but no, it's just minions. Yeah, so sane's not the right word. I think reasonable, or maybe cognizant. Here's a good one. Cognizant of how the game is played by the players. Right? And there's the last one. Right? I sort of like, how could they be so clued in with the glowies and so clueless with the hostages about essentially the exact same thing? I guess is my question. And I really don't know the answer to that one. Alright, so let's head out and see if that is enough to put the scientists back together. We call Unai, and he says, "Good work, Tiger Shrike. You rescued the scientists' other halves. Now all we have to do is figure out how to rejoin them. I'm not good at this whole dimensional fabric mumbo-jumbo. It may take some doing." Let me just sort of move out of the way here because that thing is loud. And I guess we have time to do another mission because these have been pretty short. And he says, "You know, I have to admit, I sort of hoped once you had rescued both halves of the Portal Corp scientists, they would snap back together. You know, the dimensional fabric would just knit right up. But I guess that's not the way it works. Each scientist is still in two pieces, and still spouting nothing but nonsense. Technicians are stumped. Will you go speak to Azuria about their predicament?" So yes, we will speak to Azuria. We're going to go ahead and use OUROBOROS again, because we go straight to Atlas Park, which is where Azuria lives. Or AP, as we always used to call it when the game first launched. Meet you in AP. SC never worked though for Steel Canyon because it also matches Skyway City. And we didn't call Talos Island TI, we just called it Talos. And Independence Port was IP for sure. I'm trying to think of the other abbreviations. KR for Kings Row. Am I in the back or the front? I'm in the back. Well, I don't think it matters. GC for Galaxy City. FF for Founders Falls. "Hello, Azuria," she says. "I would like to help you take a Shrike, but this is uncharted territory. I suspect no one in this world knows a spell that can reunite a person torn apart by dimensional rupture. I do have an idea. I once heard the Portal Corp had located a dimension filled with peaceful Ordenbagans, a pacifist society that never turned into the bloodthirsty circle of thorns. Can you seek them out?" Sure. So now we go to Peregrine Island. Okay. Alright, so guys, I am going to pause it here, and when we are back at Portal Corp, I will bring you back. Okay, we are back at Portal Corp, and we are going to go to the dimension that has the answer to the issue of the split-up scientists. And there we go. So that's a defeat all, so this could take a while. And this is the stupid part. This is supposed to be peaceful Ordenbagans, but we're fighting them anyway. Right? Oh, this is Banished Pantheon. Wow, these guys are +3. Okay, well, not bad. That'll be a challenge. A Shamaness. Cool. That is new. compared to what I'm used to with BP, as we used to call the Banished Pantheon. One of my favorite factions. I love fighting them. I just love the whole, I don't know, thematicness of the, I don't know what you want to call it, the VFX and the visual effects and the, just the, yeah, the thematic material of the Banished Pantheon. I'm very disappointed that I never did get to, at least naturally with context, I know we could go back to OUROBOROS and do it, but I never did get to do the Scroll of Teal'c with this character. It's one of the best story arcs in the entire game. Okay, so we're gonna take out, oh boy. Alright, so actually I'm gonna back all the way up. I don't know, let's see, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to assassinate. So these guys are moving, so that's going to make it rough. Let's try shooting him. Pull him back. Pull back a little further. Make sure there's nobody back there. We can screw this guy up. There we go. Alright, so Frost Shaman is gone. Now one of the things we want to do is ignore the summoned guy. Is she not dead? Die. There we go. We're going to ignore the summon guy, because the summon guy will disappear as soon as his summoner is dead, which is what I think all summoned creatures should do. Okay, so this must be the person that summoned the other guy. This thing is like, well, I don't know if it would be tough. It looks like a boss, but it doesn't seem to have anywhere near the powers of the boss. We've been pretty badly debuffed here, but I think with focused accuracy going, we're alright. Oh wait, it turned off. What happened there? Oh, we did okay even without it. Not bad. I must have clicked it off. And I realized it. Okay. So these guys are +2s. I'm sure we could do +3s with these people, no problem, with this faction. So, I think after this episode I may go try sending an notoriety back up, and we'll do a couple episodes with it higher and see how it goes. Oh yes, a totem. Oh, I wish it was a boss. These things are so friggin' awesome looking. Look at how cool this thing looks. Look at this thing. I love it. It just looks so cool. And they're super fun to beat on too. Oh man, I could just fight these things forever. They're just so awesome. I wish it was a boss version, but it's still cool. Totems. They are so neat. So I don't think this is a huge map. It's medium size, I guess. I hear a glowy. We're looking for, wow, 4 mages and 7 ruptures. This is the first one we've found yet. You stay put. Yeah, as you can see, even +3s are not a problem. With all of our powers now pretty much fully enhanced, this character is just a beast. It's almost like a Tasmanian devil of just a whirlwind of destruction. I'm surprised they did not see me. That was sloppy. Doesn't matter. I mean, they're not powerful enough to do anything to me, but... Alright, so we saved one circle member. And see, this is part of the problem now. Who knows where the others are sort of hidden away. So we're just going to have to wander around till we find 3 more mages and 5 more ruptures. Okay, Elder of Pain, you're dead. That was quick. And they waste their time summoning something which is going to be dead instantly because it's gone as soon as they are. It would be better for them to strike a dying blow at me than summon something that's just going to disappear. But I guess you can't expect supervillains to be too smart. And I guess it's a good thing they're not too smart. Or this game would be a lot harder, right? Not that I really mind the challenge. And there's her buddy. Elder of Desire. Yeah, the BP is very cool. I really like them as a faction. Okay, nothing in here. So, wow, okay. I don't know where all these ruptures are. I often wonder with these where you have like 12 things to collect or click on or whatever that are littered all over the entire map, why they bother to make it a quote-unquote defeat all mission when you have to go through the whole map anyway. I mean, obviously for a Stalker, you could potentially do the whole thing without beating anybody up if you just click on everything, but any other character can't do that and would have to fight their way through this, right? So it seems sort of silly to make it a defeat all when the purpose of the mission isn't actually to defeat these guys in another dimension, or shouldn't be. The purpose is actually to close portals and save mages, right? And it should be if you accomplish your goal, you accomplish your goal. Whether you defeat everybody shouldn't really matter. Sort of like D&D. I mean, like there's a variant D&D. So in normal D&D, you gain experience points for killing monsters, right? And that's pretty much the only thing they have explicitly specified in the game, right? It is a mechanism for calculating experience based on the monsters the party kills, right? And in the old days, experience was given by 1 experience point per gold piece worth of treasure you collected, including the gold piece value of gems and magic items, and then experience points for the monsters. So you got experience for killing things and taking their stuff, like literally, right? And they've changed it in principle, where they now say, well, any like medium or hard encounter is worth certain points, and you can essentially award the same experience for disarming a difficult trap as you would award for fighting a bunch of goblins or something. But in practice, they don't really tell you a particular trap is worth a certain amount of experience. They leave that completely up to the DM. Whereas for actual combat and killing monsters, they spec it out exactly. They tell you exactly how much experience it's worth, right, for each kill. And so, in a setting like that, this encourages the players to defeat all, right? We'll get more experience for defeating everybody. We don't get any experience if we don't defeat. Imagine if City of Heroes didn't have mission XP, and the only way to get XP was to individually defeat enemies. That's kind of what original D&D is like. And to help encourage people to not just kill things mindlessly, one of the things they did was they created the idea of milestone experience. And that is, you have a milestone you want to get to the second level of the dungeon, right? However you get there is worth 1,000 XP or whatever the amount is, right? So rather than nickel and diming the XP by getting 50 XP for killing a skeleton and 25 XP for killing a goblin, you just get a couple hundred XP for getting to the next level, which is basically what you would get if you individually killed the monsters, but it enables you to get credit for getting to level 2 of the dungeon, no matter how you get there. Whether you sneak there with stealth, or whether you negotiate your way there by talking to the goblins, or whether you kill your way there, you still get credit for having gotten there. And that's your goal, is to get to the second level, right? So the idea is that you get experience for achieving goals rather than for racking up a bunch of bean counting, you know, killing every animal in the dungeon or what have you. And it seems like here, right, your milestones, your goals, are save these guys, right? And once you've saved them, and once you've clicked on all the glowies and closed the ruptures, you've accomplished your mission. Your milestones are complete. You shouldn't necessarily have to kill every single guy in the mission. Right? In fact, my guess is we already got our clue. Those hideous creatures came from a split in the ether, dimensional rupture as you call it. Lately, such ruptures have been a plague on the multiverse. Even our greatest mystics cannot determine the cause of these ruptures, but they are becoming a grave threat. I will tell you how to help your scientists. After all, it is a simple spell, but in return, you must seek the cause of these ruptures. And that's probably all we're going to get out of this mission, right? That's the clue you're looking for. So now that we found the clue, we know what we want, and we got to close the ruptures, right? Why do we need to defeat all the guys in this area after we've gotten that, right? We've made our goals. We've accomplished our mission. And now we're going to hang around and beat people up? That's actually doesn't make any sense, right? Because we should be trying to get back to our Earth as fast as possible to bring the cure to Unai Kemen, right? So we should be going right up to him and telling him, here, look, this is how to save these people. And instead, we're going to hang around and beat guys up. Why? Right? Just because? Here's the last hostage. Now that other guy's going to aggro to me, I assume. Maybe not. Alright, so this will allow me to assassinate him. Yeah, see, he didn't give me a clue. And all we have is one rupture left. Let's go ahead and get that. And we still got to assassinate a bunch of these guys in here, but let's go get that rupture this way. That's done, and now it's just a question of killing. See, to me, if I'm DMing this, quote unquote, you're done, right? Why would you need to kill everybody? I mean, if the party wanted to stick around and kill everybody, sure, you can stay around, do whatever you want. But I don't know that I would make it a requirement. In fact, I know I wouldn't. I'm working on an adventure for my party at level 4. Man, it has been rough creating this adventure because it was supposed to be the origin of the rogue character, his backstory, but his player's not been able to play with us, so then I was going to make it the origin part of the gnome's backstory, but then she didn't want to do the thing that I had suggested. And you can go back and listen to my other videos about that. So anyway, we're doing still not a boss. That's unfortunate. So anyway, we're gonna be doing something else, which is actually going to introduce the main campaign storyline a little earlier than I wanted. And they're going to be in a large area. It's basically like a necropolis with a whole bunch of basically it's like a city based on a real city, a real necropolis that was found in Italy from Roman times. It's a city of the dead where they basically created city streets and buildings and avenues and large and small buildings that have dead people in them, you know, corpses and tombs and stuff. And there are a whole bunch of these. It's a city, so it's pretty big. And I put a whole bunch of treasure and monsters inside a bunch of the buildings. They don't have to go in any of those. They have to like do a couple things on the outside and get into a temple and stop the guys in the temple, and that's it. It's like they could get through the whole dungeon with like 5 encounters. But if they crawl through it, there are like 15 more encounters in there that they could get to. Now, they can accomplish, I think, almost all the milestones without killing any of those monsters. The idea is get through the place. Get from this map to that map. And if you can do it without fighting monsters, that's okay. Of course, they'll get a lot less treasure, because they have to fight the monsters and then take the treasure in the tombs if they want magic items, right? If they end up without doing any of that, then they're not going to get any treasure. In fact, they already missed a bag of holding in one of the adventures where they didn't look thoroughly enough. And I'm not going to tell them you got to look in here. So they don't have it. Too bad. I considered putting the bag of holding somewhere else in the dungeon, and I said no. They chose not to investigate this room. Too bad. So anyway, yeah, I'm a big fan of letting the players do what they want and get rewards for what they do, but not actually hold their hands through it and try to make them do things that they didn't think of. Anyway, so Unai says, good work, Tiger Shrike. If the Ornvagan ritual works, we'll have our scientists back. As good as new. Of course, I don't think that means that we can rest on our laurels. I'm pretty worried about these dimensional ruptures. Everything we've heard indicates that they're becoming a huge problem. Not just for us, but for other dimensions. If that's true, Tiger Shrike, we need to save the entire multiverse. And so we're going to have a mission to do that, but not yet, because it is time to stop this episode. We're now 3/10 of the way through level 48, and we will continue on this story arc in the future. Until next time, I am Scarperlock, and this has been City of Heroes on the Rebirth server.